Coming in at number 10, we have the ending. The randonauting people want to bring another level of enjoyment to the randonauting experience, so they do this by telling their users to think of an intention before they go on their little trip. It's something that gives the adventure a little more meaning, and sometimes people get what they were looking for in the strangest ways. Redditor Drake Berserker went out randonauting, and he stated that he wanted to find an ending. That is something very vague, but the universe knew how to take this information and give him exactly what he was looking for. There is a very nebulous way you could understand the meaning of an ending, but this is the most blunt rendition of the word. Ending up in a cemetery with a freshly dug grave is a very creepy way for the app to show you an ending. Now, is this a premonition from the universe showing you what you need to see? Or are the phones just listening to us and an AI is interpreting what you're saying and then sending you in the right direction?
Coming in at number 9 is the scariest place. So this experience comes from YouTube channel Exploring with Eric, who set their intention as show us the scariest place ever. And as you can imagine, Randonautica does not disappoint, and it definitely didn't with this one. The coordinates led them to a long dirt road that had signs posted everywhere. One was particularly bizarre and was written in Spanish. Upon translation, it was apparently a warning from the witch who owned the property they were on. It said she had eyes on them at all times, which, great, that's just what I need on a little field trip out. Like, I'm just trying to have some fun, you know, vibe it out. But then I see that, hell no. The road was also lined with 2 fences that had creepy dolls hanging from them all over, and some were burnt and some had limbs missing, which is very common for black magic rituals. At the very end of the road, they found 3 mannequins dressed in old clothes just standing there like scarecrows. I mean, is it the scariest place on earth? I don't know. Is it pretty damn scary for a Monday? Yes. At number 8, we have the clothes. This one comes from TikTok user Killer Queen Bites, and she was out randonauting with a friend, and they had set their intention as seeing something cool, interesting, love, positive. So who would have thought they would have ended up in the place that they did? The couple was led to a very pretty lake, a bit run down, but still quite nice. And that is a positive, interesting thing to see, but then they just started exploring and going deeper into the area for fun. She said the vibe of the whole place felt ominous and off, like they shouldn't have been there. After going down the lake a bit more, they found a really small sweatshirt and sock laying in the water, which was really bloody weird. There was also a rock nearby the clothes that had either a T or a Y carved into it, depending on which angle you were seeing it from. Maybe it was the starting letter of the person's name. Near that, they found this branchy enclave almost that had a shirt tied to it, and when they took a closer look, they noticed the splatters of blood on it. A sewer opening wasn't far off the area either, so this whole thing just gave me major Pennywise vibes. Like, who did you drag in there and kill?
And at number 7, Scary White Van.
This location. I was like, I know where that is. It's about 5 minutes away, so I drive out there. Mind you, it's midnight, I haven't charged my phone, and I didn't tell anyone where I was going, so I'm stupid.
A user named Sour Bong Water captioned her TikTok, "Always randonaut with friends," and she describes how she decided to go to a location that was about 5 minutes away from her house, alone when it was midnight, and not tell anyone where she was going. Then saying it wasn't what she found at the location that scared her, but what happened when she got home. So she said she went to the location and it was a random field with nothing really there. Then she saw some cop cars and decided to dip. Then she decides to leave and notices that when she pulls back into her driveway, a white car pulls up right behind her, with their lights fully facing her car. Then she shows a video of herself in the car that night, freaking out about the fact that there's a random white van fully watching her. Sadly, she doesn't tell us how it all ended, but I'm assuming she recorded the TikTok the next day, so she was obviously fine. But I'm sure she was still incredibly creeped out.
Now at number 6 is the shed. So this randonauting adventure comes from TikTok user Emily Cullen, whose coordinates took her to this old abandoned house. And mind you, this house is the creepiest thing you've ever seen. It's falling apart, the windows are broken, the front gate is just left open, there's a bunch of trash strewn everywhere, including 2 large black garbage bags that looked like they had something heavy in them, like a body perhaps, and that wouldn't even be the first time a body was found on TikTok. Randonautica. But there are also words carved under the window of the house, but the user was too far away to read them. They didn't want to get any closer because they felt this presence watching them. Ironically, the coordinates didn't lead them to the house, it led them to the house's shed, which was hidden in the shrubbery in the back. The house was creepy enough, I bet my life on the fact they did not go into the shed. They did not. I refuse to believe it. No one has a death wish.
Coming in at number 7, we have metaphorically scary. A scary encounter can be a lot of things. It can be someone chasing you down the street with a knife, trying to steal your organs to make a cannibal stew. Or it can be reality slapping you in the face and forcing you to deal with the world around you. This randonauting encounter was the latter. Someone went out into the world with the intention of finding truth, and this is what they ran into. Okay, that is very dark. It's an American flag over a crumbling foundation and some random trash that has been thrown about. With everything that has been going on in the US, with the constant chaos that has been sweeping all over the news, whether it's secret police being sent into Portland to arrest protesters and taking them to unknown locations, or the coronavirus reaching numbers of all-time highs day after day, or the president doing a bean shoot in the midst of the insanity, things can feel a little hopeless at times. At number 4, we have Look Who's Watching. Sometimes with randonauting, the experience doesn't end when you get home. Whatever your intention you put out into the world might have bigger plans than just letting you see some sights and making content. The YouTuber Mia Cole went out randonauting when she ended up in a field with a bunch of junk. It wasn't anything too interesting, but it wasn't the location that she went to during the day that set people off. It was the video that she made later that night when she got home. She was doing a regular thing, breaking things down, and in her window was something very strange. It seemed that there was a pair of yellow eyes that kept peeking through the window. Wait, what? The common consensus among horror lovers like yourself and myself is some sort of creature or being that saw her while she was out on her adventure, followed her home, and took interest in her. That is terrifying.
Filling at number 3 slot are aliens. I love some extraterrestrial going on. It's always somehow less scary than supernatural. Anyway, this one's from TikTok user Blood Pixie, who set her intention as alien. She drove to the location, which was this grassy field, and you guys know that fields are always somehow alien related. And the trees by the field had Christmas baubles decorating them, which was super weird. And there was this wooden post nearby that had a literal yellow sign on it with an alien on it, which read Alien Zing. What is going on there? Is that like the alien, that Area 51, is that their like holiday house, their summer house? What is that?
In at number 2, coffins.
Me and a bunch of friends decided to go explore a park that was located nearby all of our houses, and in the creepy back area we found a lot of coffins, and we got curious and opened one, and there were spikes.
This next one is another really creepy one. So the user Krista Ball posted a video with the caption, "Possible cult activity near my house?" And he showed him and his friends being led into a creepy field area by the app. And when they arrived, you can see all sorts of random stuff that looks like it came out of a horror movie, including tons of coffins. And when he opened up one of the coffins, it had spikes on the inside. Then there's a large wooden plank that can be rocked up and down, and it looks like an old school torture device. Then he ends saying that if the video blows up, he'll come back at night. And when he ended up coming back with a Ouija board, thankfully he didn't find any spirits, but still really creepy.
And finally, at number 1 is The Trail. This one started off pretty PG-13 and innocent, so I didn't think it'd be that scary, but it proved me wrong. Uploaded by TikToker Aaliyah, her and her friends get taken to this bridge that they've been to before, so nothing out of the ordinary is happening just yet. They're about to leave thinking the coordinates were a bus until they find a sort of puddle of blood that seems super fresh. Like, you can tell in the video it's wet, you can see that it is, like glistening almost. They then realize the blood actually has a trail, so they decide to follow it. It takes them down the road and over this railing in this back alley, so whoever was bleeding somehow made it all the way to this railing and jumped or slid off to the other side, clearly trying to hide or suffer in peace away from any attention. The video ends with one of the friends deciding to follow the trail around the corner, and that is the biggest cliffhanger I've ever been left on in my life. Like, leave me on red, I don't care, just tell me what happened. What did you find?
Coming in at number 10, we have Too Many Clowns. I don't know what's going on with this app, but it seems like it has a knack for taking people to places where no human should ever go. This first point was written by someone on Reddit who said when they trekked out on the randonauting experience, experience, the intention that they put out into the universe was fear. If you don't know, something that you're supposed to do with randonauting is give out an intention to the world to help guide your adventure. Why would you want to find fear? I will never know. Well, this person ended up walking through the woods when they noticed something very strange. There were balloons that were tied to trees leading into the forest. When our redditor followed them, they came to a halt when they saw a creepy clown standing alone in the forest. Well, maybe he was alone, who really knows? Well, it should go without saying that our redditor ran out of the forest faster than they have ever moved before.
Coming in at number 9 is The Lady. This one was shared by TikToker Marlena Sanchez, who said she was playing around the app and decided to go to the location it gave her. Now, I don't know what she set her intention as, but it clearly wasn't anything good because it led her to a school parking lot. That sounds all well and fine, but there was a woman just standing loitering around in the middle of the lot, and she had a knife. It's a knife. Literally, I was like, what the hell is this? The woman then starts chasing down the randonauts with her knife, and they make it back to their car just in time and end up escaping. Who is this woman? Why does she have a knife? What is happening? What was your intention?
Look, she literally has a knife in her hand and she was looking right at us. What the heck? Seconds later, we passed by again and she was not there. She disappeared. This app is weird.
In at number 8, Creepy Shoe. User Merc Garcia captioned the video, "You won't believe what we found." And I honestly didn't believe it until I saw it for myself. The video starts with the user showing that they have arrived at the destination, and it looks like a ghost town because no one else is really around. Then it looks like they go into some sort of construction site because there are just piles of sand all around them. Then they approach this one pile, and as they're walking up, you can see that there's a shoe sticking out of the pile of sand. So one of them goes up to the pile and starts hitting the shoe with a stick. I assume it's to see if it's just like a random lost shoe or to see if the shoe is attached to anything. And it ends with the woman hitting the shoe multiple times, and when it doesn't move and the dirt starts to fall, she suddenly runs away, telling the other friend that she just saw a leg.
There's a leg. No, there's not.
And I don't know how it ended, but I hope they called the cops to report that.
Filling at number 7 slot is The Cemetery. This one was uploaded by TikTok user Ho Falani, whose randonauting adventure took her to this tiny cemetery in the middle of nowhere. Now, they're initially behind the fence away from the field, but the friends see that there's something hanging from the tree in the middle of the cemetery, so they decide to take a closer look. And that, my friends, is how they get you. They just entice you and bait you, and then they just pull you in. Anyway, as they explore, they find this half-broken gravestone with 2 Raggedy Ann looking dolls on both sides of it, which is super freaking weird. They then inspect the tree, and there's this open suitcase hanging from it, and inside of it was this upside down half naked doll, and on the ground is the Bible. Now, what is up with these creepy dolls? Wasn't Annabelle a Raggedy Ann doll too?
Coming in at number 6, we have Come Inside. The next point was a story I snagged off of Reddit. Our writer says they were randonauting in Montana and it led them into a forest. It was almost sundown, so they wanted to make this as quick as possible. Nothing like following your phone into the woods to try and find a random location you've never been to before, right before the sun goes down. It seems like many safe decisions were made that day. Well, they continued on into the woods until they came onto a path. There were some signs along the path directing them down the right direction. This seemed a little bit comforting because at least it showed that some people had been here before. Well, when they eventually got to the end of the path, they found a run-down cabin that had a large sign on it that read, "Come inside." Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog. Well, our Redditor took this as a sign that they should turn around and never come back, and that's exactly what they did. The sign was probably nothing, but it could have been the laziest murder trap ever built.
Coming in at number 5 is The Best Friend. So this one was shared by the user small_pink, who said she went randonauting and set the intention to anything to do with her best friend. Now, for some context, her best friend committed suicide 2 years prior, and so I guess she was looking for a sign or a reminder or anything really that might have to do with her. She followed the coordinates to this random grassy area and saw a raven right above her. Almost poetically, it dropped one of its feathers, which was super freaky considering her best friend had always said that if she were ever to have a spirit animal, it would be a raven. I just don't get how the app does this. How could it have known about the spirit animal, and how was the raven even there? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense to me, people. They're meant to be randomly generated coordinates. It's not that random. At number 4 is The Bin. This one is utterly screwed up and comes from TikToker KennyV99, whose coordinates led them to an abandoned bin in a field. And I feel like a lot of people ask me what I mean. Like, if I'm at a fast food place or anywhere and I'm like, oh, do you have a bin so I can throw out my gum? And they're like, a what? Sorry? And I'm like, a bin, you know, a garbage bin, a trash can. And they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, forget it. It's a bin. How do you not know? Either way, the user gets there and there are flies everywhere and it smells horrible. They walk up to the dumpster to find it empty, but dried blood is smeared everywhere, on the sides, on the bottom. It's like, okay, whose murdered body was dumped here and left to rot? And is it not bizarre that the app is meant to take you to all these randomly generated places, but how are they randomly generating so many murder scenes? Something doesn't make sense.
And at number 3, Kitten.
There was a gate blocking us from getting where we needed to be. Then when I was turning the car around, I kid you not, come here, buddy, this kitten was there.
So this one might be creepy, or it might actually just be the app working how it's supposed to. You can decide for yourself. But the user, it's Bree Green, shared how she was supposed to adopt a kitten that day, but her mom told her not to. Then she said she was sad for a while, but after learning about the Randonautica app, she went on it and tried to find a kitten as her intention. So the app gave her a location that was about 5 minutes away from where she lived, and she started to head out. But when she was approaching, she saw that there were gates blocking her from getting to where she needed to be. And because she didn't want to trespass, she ended up just turning around. And then the craziest thing happened. When she was turning around, there was a kitten right there running towards her. And a lot of things on this app might be BS, but that's a pretty insane coincidence if you ask me.
Now at number 2 is the house. So admittedly the background music of this one makes it a whole lot scarier, but it's still pretty terrifying all the same. Shared by TikTok user Keel780, it shows them walking in this grassy, weedy, abandoned sort of area, and they pan around so you can see the crumbling walls that look like they could have surrounded a house at one point. It then pans to the user walking up to this log cabin that has the numbers 666 on top of the door, and I don't know about you, but I'm not trying to accidentally stumble onto Satan's summer cabin. And despite being a wooden cabin, the door of it looked very medieval, very like super fortified and whatnot. Whatever they locked inside should stay locked inside in my humble opinion. I may not know much, but I know enough.
And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have possibly a murder site. You know, I like games that make you adventure around the world in a fun way, like Pokemon Go. Let me catch a Pikachu, I don't want to catch a knife in the neck. So the TikToker DreamXFaith went out on a randonauting trip with a couple of her friends and they came across this.
Okay, so we went on a randonauting trip and we just found 2 phones that were literally like stepped on. We also found the battery. So we also just found bones and what the?
Yeah, that's gonna be a big no for me, thanks. Why was there a phone and bones out there? Who did they belong to? Was this all set up for some views? I really have no idea. But there is the possibility that they stumbled upon a place where someone got rid of a couple of bodies and all of the stuff that belonged to them. I mean, this is partly the fault of the murderer. You should do a better job at hiding bones and bodies and all that junk. God.
Starting us off at number 10 are human remains. This one blew my mind, oh my god. So TikTok user Henry went randonauting with his friends and the coordinates took them to a beach in West Seattle. They didn't mention what intention they put into the app, so I don't know if their intention was to find something horrific, but that is what they found. Near the rocks under the bridge, the group found a black suitcase. Uh-oh. They obviously ventured down there to get closer and eventually opened the suitcase to find a huge garbage bag inside of it with this god-awful stench coming out of it. They were trying to poke it with a stick, and I mean, your mind goes straight to one thing. It's either expired food or a rotting dead body. There is no in between. The randonauts called the police, and when they came to investigate, they found human remains inside of it. Like, that is so messed up. I can't even wrap my head around it. And the police didn't just find that suitcase, they found a bunch more, meaning the person who was killed was also dismembered.
Open it. It stinks, y'all.
It washed up.
Oh. Oh.
In at number 9, man in a field.
Sky. Oh my god. I can't. What if the person shows up in my rear view camera?
User at Pemere had another really creepy experience, captioning her video, "So we tried Randonautica and this is what happened." Then showing her filming outside of her car in the pitch black, in some sort of field it looks like. And you can see in the distance there's a man walking towards them completely alone. And some of you guys might be thinking that this could have just been the man's property and he was trying to see who was trespassing or something. Which could be true, but it's also just really creepy that he was alone in the field in the pitch black dark when literally nothing else was around. And you can see the girls quickly leaving while still showing him walking towards them.
At number 8 we have The Village. This one is from TikToker Playboy Lissy, whose coordinates led her straight into the Blair Witch Project or something that looked a lot like it. The user and her friend picked the 2 locations that seemed the most appealing. Both of those were in the woods though, so off on their little adventure they went. At first they find this closed up tent which they're too scared to open because what if someone was still inside or on their way back to it. The next coordinate was a 5 to 10 minute walk from the tent, and it was this hut structure sort of thing that was made from wooden sticks. There was a wooden teepee tent looking thing in the middle, and it looked like whoever made it made wooden spiked barricades around it for protection as well. The top of the entrance of the teepee tent had the skull of some antlered animal, and that's when they thought enough was enough and left. I wouldn't have even gotten to the teepee tent thing, I would have been like bye. Filling at number 7 slot are the bags. So this experience comes from TikToker Baddest Bunny on the Block, great username by the way, who uses the app to find creepy, scary and then post about it. So in this TikTok, the coordinates take the duo to a spot by a river near a random bus station. There they found an abandoned tarp next to what looked to be a freshly covered hole in the ground. I would have left at that point, but they decided to investigate further and found a shredded black garbage bag under the tarp. Inside the bag they found a weird object covered in some kind of red liquid and a shovel. So now it's like, what the hell did this person bury in this hole that they clearly don't want anyone to find? The duo then called the police, who collected evidence from the crime scene, and God knows what happened after that. Do I want to know? I'm not really sure. Now, number 6 is Inside the Hole. So this one was shared by TikToker Jazzy83, and her coordinates led her deep into this trail in the forest. Now, while she was walking to the destination, she found a deflated balloon that said "Best Mom Ever." Now, I don't know if that was related to what they ended up finding, but I'm pretty sure it was because of the proximity, and because who the hell is having a Mother's Day walk that deep into the woods? It's weird. Now, on the left of them, they found a huge white coffin just in the grass. Like, how the hell has nobody found this coffin before them? Like, that is screwed up. There are also holes on the side of the coffin, and the user literally takes you inside the hole. Thankfully, we don't see anyone moving in there or anything like that, so no one was, you know, coffined alive, but I really didn't need to see inside the coffin, like, unnecessary.
Halfway through number 5, skulls. This next one is from the user Alex Kemp, and it's captioned, "Randonautica is just one big old nope." Then in the video you can see a group of girls walking around in the daytime, saying that they wanted to try the app out to see what they'd find, then saying that the app took them to some woods. Then when they showed up at the exact location that the app told them to, they ended up finding a skull that looked pretty old and kind of human. Then they discovered a really small one right near the other one. And to be honest, the skull looked pretty real to me, like it looked pretty worn down, but the fact that one of the girls was smiling while looking at the skull is making me second guess if it is real, but incredibly creepy if it's all true.
At number 4 is the Storm Shelter. This one's from TikToker Bridgescell2702, who went randonauting with her boyfriend, and the coordinates led them to this open field with this chained up storm shelter. Now they couldn't get it open for despite even using wrenches, so they tried prying it open, which worked since it was so old. I don't know how or why they would go inside. I would not. What if there's some radiation mutant animal in there or something? Yeah, you don't know. Now part 2 was uploaded by her boyfriend Jumbo Shrimp 2702, which shows them actually inside the storm shelter. There's a bunch of canned food stocked up in there from the 80s, it's crawling with spiders naturally, and they randomly find a hat in there from their high school. Now I know storm shelters are meant to just protect people from tornadoes and whatnot, but this one looked like a proper bunker made for the end of the world. Like they were stocking up for like 6 years at least.
Coming in at number 3, we have Be Careful What You Wish For. So a TikToker goes by the handle Anna49048 wanted to manifest destruction, and she ended up in the woods looking at all of this.
So today we tried randonauting. We decided to manifest destruction, and I thought it was so creepy that we came across all of this in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a good time at all. I don't know how serious this was. Like, I don't think a murderer would leave behind a sign that's labeled chop shop in the middle of the woods. That seems a little too obvious and kinda tacky. It's probably just some old props that were left out from a Halloween tour, but it's still creepy to come across all that stuff randomly. The video ends with her saying that the destruction got even worse when she went home, but that kinda sounds like something you would say because it's clickbaity and it keeps people going through your videos. But guys, you will never believe how insane the next 2 points are, so you have to stay tuned in this video to see what the top 2 are. See what I did there? I keep you guys in the video. Number 2, we got Hellfire. Now, I'm not a religious person, but there is something so creepy about demons and demonology, and this next randonauting experience would creep me the hell out. A group of friends went out randonauting and they didn't want to put out any intention, and I guess when you do that, it brings in some pretty bad energy, because the trip took them through an area that none of them had seen before in their own suburbs. In fact, they didn't even know that this area existed. But at the end of the journey, there was a run-down church. There was graffiti all over it, and some of the windows had been smashed out. Now, for some reason, this group of friends thought it would be a great idea to head inside this abandoned, run-down church. I mean, the fact that the door was open didn't help. When they went inside, they started exploring, and they felt like something was watching them. There was something strange about the whole place. One person commented that they felt like they were being watched to their friends. They then went a little deeper into the church, and they found a giant pentagram with some candles burning around it and what looked to be blood. The candles were still lit. This was enough to get them to leave, but one of the people who went out on this journey complained about brutal nightmares that lasted for a month after this adventure.
And finally, at number 1 are butterflies. This one's from TikTok user Owen's Coochie. And he spends the whole day going to different coordinates with his friend. First they manifest red and yellow, and then they set their intention to butterflies. The coordinates brought the randonauts to this trail they'd never seen before, which was weird considering they'd both lived in the area their whole lives. How do you miss something like that? They start going down the trail, but the more they zoomed into the spot on the phone, the further away it seemed to get. Like, they just weren't getting closer to it. They eventually got to this abandoned leafy lake area, and Owen gets a call from an unknown number. Aren't you glad you didn't pick it up, Owen? Yeah, God knows where your ass would be right now if you did. Then they happen on a bunch of animal skeletons and bones, and they realize the ground was covered with patches of fur. Like, was there some animal massacre here? How does this have anything to do with butterflies? This is not what I was expecting.
So it brought us to these trails, and we've lived in this town for like, what? Our whole lives, and we had no idea there were trails here.
Starting off at number 10, man on the side of the road.
I just went randonauting, and our intention was death. We were on our way to the spot, and I look out my window and there's someone laying in the gutter.
This one honestly gave me chills. So user Mike and Ray captioned the video, "This just happened in Aurora, Colorado." And then added text on the video saying to not go randonauting. And the video starts with her crying, saying not to use the app. Then she says how she set her intention to be death, and that when she was driving really close to the location, she saw a man on the side of the road laying in the gutter with a woman on top of him, kind of holding him and trying to help him out. So the user then pulled over, and when she got over to them, realized that the man had been shot, and then she had to call the cops on their behalf. And in this video, she's crying so hard at some points it's hard to understand what she's saying. So if that's any indicator of the stuff this app makes you encounter, it can be really messed up.
Coming in at number 9 is the building. So this one is freaky as and comes from TikToker Young Zalo, who decides to go to a Randonautica coordinate with his friends at 3:30 AM. The coordinates lead them to this random building in Duluth, and as soon as they're starting to get close, the street lights just start flickering out of nowhere. As soon as it starts flickering, that's when you know something is very off. The group then start contemplating whether to go inside the building or not, with the user being like, "Can we please go home?" I would be this guy. As they go to turn around, they see this deer run into the bushes, or they thought it was a deer. The skin of it was grey, which had them all thinking it was a skinwalker, which is so much worse than a deer, you guys.
Coming in at number 8, we have Consider Yourself Lucky. I have no idea why someone would go out randonauting and ask for something negative. My intention would always be like money, or the answer to my problems, or someone telling me I look handsome. I really like that. I would always want things to make my day better, but some people out there love the taste of danger, and I guess they want to have their limbs slowly removed by a psychopath. Now this one is not spooky because of what the person saw, but it's because of what happened. The Redditor Fly Sensa02 2 went out randonauting, and their intention was to find something evil. Why would you ever want to find that? Well, when they got out of their house, they went into their car only to find this. If there has ever been a sign from the universe telling you that you are dumb and you should stay home, it's that. The evil that you were looking for. Trust me, you don't want to find it. You're better off chilling and just take a breather. Please.
Filling at number 7 slot is The Call. This one's from TikToker Emily3, who got an anonymous call as soon as she got to the target location from the app. And apparently this has happened to a lot of randonauts, not just Emily. Rumor has it that the call is an invitation to an alternate universe, so if you answer it, you're getting hologram there or zap there. I don't even know how you're getting there, but you're there. But if you're not ready for that, then don't answer the phone. Simple as.
Legend has it, that's an invitation to an alternate universe. And if you're not ready for that, then don't answer.
Coming in at number 6, we have Steve Ronan's Adventure. I don't know how many times I gotta say this, but you guys are using this app wrong. Stop asking for horrible things when you should be asking for positive vibes to flow into your life. The YouTuber Steven Ronan went out to find something dark and twisted. Not exactly what I would go out looking for. Well, he ended up driving down a dark road that had pentagrams carved into trees. See, at this point, I would pack everything up and start heading home. But Steve is a trooper and kept pushing forward. Him and his camera crew found themselves at an abandoned house that looked like it was location for the next Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And right when things looked like they were going to end with someone wearing Steve's face, the police show up. You know, I never thought I would be happy to see the police, but I'm always open to be surprised.
Coming in at number 5 is The Dog. This one isn't scary in like a horror way, it's scary in the wow, life can work in wonderful, scary, mysterious ways sometimes kind of way. Was that too niche? I don't care. Either way, this one's from TikTok user SlugLexa, who just wanted to get her mind off the world and do some randonauting. Now, a few weeks before they filmed this TikTok, Alexa's mum's dog Lala ran away and got lost, and they couldn't find her anywhere. That's quite sad, actually. So Alexa and her friends set their intention as mom's lost dog, and they end up at Mojave Desert. Out of nowhere, as they're walking, this dog just runs up to them and is the friendliest little thing ever. And he actually then starts leading them towards the coordinates on the app, and it ends up being a line of Joshua trees, which is odd since they're usually always found scattered around, not on a line. Now, I'm just amazed at the fact they literally manifested this dog. They really wanted to take it home, but it actually ended up belonging to the family who lived nearby. That honestly wouldn't have stopped me. I always just see like little dogs and I'm like, I must kidnap you. You know what I mean? I never would, but I want to.
In at number 4, Empty Bullets. User Leanne Reynolds posted a TikTok with her trying out randonauting. In the video, you can see her and some friends driving together towards the coordinates. She then shows them all walking in a forest area. Then she ended up ending the video showing bullet casings in the forest, which is obviously really creepy. She then made a part 2 of the other times she's gone randonauting, saying that the other times weren't as creepy. And the worst thing she saw was a goat skull the other times, which personally would freak me out, but I guess maybe it's a common thing where she's from, I don't know.
Filling at number 3 slot is What Could Have Been. So finding dead bodies on Randonautica isn't really as rare as people think. It's surprisingly common given that it's an app that randomly generates coordinates for you, so I don't really know. Also, drinking game, how many times can I say randomly generating in this video? Let me know. So this one comes from TikToker Adam Castillo, whose username just misses most of the vowels, whose girlfriend wanted to get severely scared. So the intention they put in the app was body, which I feel like can genuinely never end well. Either way, the coordinates take them to an empty dumpster, and the last time I talked about a randonaut finding a dumpster, there was blood smeared all in and around it. This dumpster, however, had a single black garbage bag in it that looked weirdly full. They contemplate opening the bag and decide against it because they realize I don't actually want to get as scared as I thought I did. No police was called and no nothing, like bruh. Open the bag, you could have solved a cold case or missing persons file or something.
Coming in at number 2, we have Chase Down. Maybe here's a good idea. Don't go randonauting at night, especially when it's going to lead you into the woods. I feel like I can have so much more fun just staying at home alone, watching Netflix and binge eating something that's made with high fructose corn syrup. Well, someone who goes by the handle Tia Langley wanted a little more thrill in her life, and her and her 3 friends drove into the woods at night, and they were quickly met with some random dudes that were not happy to see them.
Go. Go, 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 go.
So this is what went down in the clip. One dude approaches the car with a flashlight. Why was this dude in the forest? We will probably never know. He rushes the car and then two more guys show up and one of them punches the car. Maybe they were camping there and they were pissed off to see some people driving through their campsite, or maybe they just wanted these girls to get out of their car so they could use them as a blood sacrifice. I don't know.
And finally, number 1, giant skeletons.
Somebody asked me, I get this a lot, have you ever had a crazy experience using Randonautica? Yes.
This last one is pretty cool because one of the founders of the app named Conrad decided to talk about the craziest things that he's encountered while using his own app. He starts off saying that he has had a lot of stories of what he called mind-bending synchronicities, but he speaks of one where he was with a friend and the coordinates was in the middle of the lake. So they walked as closely as they could to that point, and they were talking about giant skeletons at the time. Then when they were approaching the point, they saw this random man meditating at the edge of the lake. They then asked him if he thought intentions could affect random coordinates, and the man said yes. Then they randomly asks them if they can see a rock wall across the lake, and when they say yes, he tells them that there's giant skeletons under it. And that creeped him out so much because it was exactly what they were just talking about before they encountered this random man.
Starting us off at number 10 is 5 minutes. So this one comes from TikToker That Welsh Dyke, whose friend told her about Randonautica. So one night she decided to use it and go to the 2 locations it told her to since they were close by, and FYI, she didn't mention what she set her intention as, otherwise I would have told you guys. The second location was like 5 minutes from her house, and so she's driving there and it ends up being a specific person's house. A woman from the house comes outside and just stares at the user and smiles at her, not creepy at all. So she tries to send a message to the app to report that she had been to the location, and for some reason it wasn't going through. So she called her best friend, who was like, just give it 5 more minutes, and even the user was like, I felt like I had to stay for some reason. Then as she's driving back the way she came, a police car passes her and she sees like 3 police cars and an ambulance blocking off the road. There had been an accident minutes beforehand and she literally saw the guy being put into the ambulance. Had she left when she was going to, that car accident would have happened to her. Minutes. She was saved by minutes.
Coming in at number 9, we have a ritual site. I mean, I can't confirm that this is some sort of ritual site, but I'll let you guys get a peek at what I'm talking about, and then we can try to break it down together.
I don't know what it is. If you know what it is or what it means, comment down below. I don't know if it's like witchcraft or something. I'm scared.
So you get what I mean. It looks like some sort of site where there was some sort of strange ritual that was taking place. Like there's a whole circle of sticks going on, and then there's a circle at the center of the whole thing. There's also some weird markings in the grass that seem like they're shaped like a person. If anyone out there knows what these symbols mean, please let me know in the comments below. Coming in at number 8, we have lightning strikes. Sometimes you can see what's going to threaten your life when you're randonauting. It will be something right in front of you. I read one story about someone out randonauting, and the intention that they set out to find was peace. See, that is what I'm talking about. You should be trying to bring that kind of energy into your life because it's positive and very important. Well, it turns out that the universe didn't want to bring that to this person because they ended up walking into the middle of a field, then out of nowhere it seemed like a storm moved in and it started raining, and not even 10 feet away from them there was a massive lightning strike. They screamed and hightailed it out of there. Now, is this story true? I have no idea. Wouldn't the lightning like move through the ground and zap them or something, especially if the ground is wet? I'm not a scientist, so I don't really have the answer to this, but who knows? If you guys know, let us know in the comments.
And at number 6, Invisible Man.
So there's that dude. Keep an eye on that red truck. Never
He's literally right behind us
guys.
now. He's right by that mailbox and he's not there.
He's not there and the truck is not there. What the f***? What the f***?
User Rayleigh captioned her video, "Y'all what the F?" and re-uploaded a video from user ShaylinXO. And in this one, she didn't say what her intention was or give much backstory as to what happened, but what she showed was really creepy. Basically, it starts with her showing that there is a man walking pretty closely behind their car with a dog in the daytime, as well as a red truck really close behind him, which are both, you know, pretty normal looking things. Then it gets really creepy when she shows her backup camera of the car, and in the camera you can see the mailbox that's like directly beside the man, but you can't see the man or the red car in the backup camera. And just to make sure it's not a crazy coincidence, she then turns the camera to the man once again, and you can see that he's come even closer, but he still wasn't seen on the backup camera. And I'm not really sure what that all means, but it's obviously really scary.
Coming in at number 5 is Jamie. This one is trippy if it is real, but the bit they're talking about wasn't actually recorded, so there's no way we'll know for sure. Anyway, this one's from TikTok user Rag City, whose coordinates led them to some abandoned dirt trail. One of the randonauts called Jamie goes out to to investigate with the flashlight from her phone but rushes back before going too far. I would never be the one volunteering to investigate. Oh hell no, I'm staying in the getaway car. Cause even if you don't make it back in time, I'm going. Goodbye. The person filming thinks Jamie just got scared and that's why she came back, and she's like, no, it's because I heard Natalie call out Jamie even when the windows were locked. Turns out nobody in the car said her name, so it's like, what intention did you put in for the app to lead you somewhere where someone is saying your name who you do not know?
You got scared.
No, because I heard Natalie saying Jamie even when the windows were locked.
No, I didn't say anything.
You didn't say Jamie?
Coming in at number 5, we have watch out when you're in the woods. So it seems that scary murder traps aren't the only thing that are going to be waiting for you when you walk into the woods. A Randonauting warning article told of some pretty horrific encounters that kids had while walking through the woods. Something that's a little more threatening than an ominous sign trying to scare teens. But what about a bear encounter? Yes, apparently this happens quite often. I mean, sometimes they can be harmless but still very intimidating. But if you are randonauting through the woods, you should be sure to bring stuff with you that can scare off predators, and don't be looking down at your phone constantly because you might end up someone else's snack, or just harassed like that girl went viral a few weeks ago when the blackberry was just like poking at her. That was so freaky. Coming in at number 4, we have don't go inside. Redditor YoYuke696969 decided that they wanted to have a spooky adventure, and the intention that they put onto the world was that they wanted to see something scary. Well, be careful what you wish for, kids, because sometimes you're going to get slapped right in the face. Well, metaphorically speaking, a Redditor didn't actually get slapped in the face. Well, they ended up walking down a long dirty road and they saw this building. Yeah, you can't get much creepier than an old rundown mansion that looks like it's going to be the location for the next Resident Evil game. Oh, and if the look of the mansion wasn't creepy enough for you, here's something a little deeper to freak you out. Apparently this mansion is still used for religious retreats. What kind of religion has never been specified, but it's safe to say that this is some sort of secret cult mansion in the middle of the woods. Yeah, I think it's time to head home and pretend you never saw this place.
Filling at number 3 slot is the camp. This one comes from TikToker Glossy Sophia, who shows us her randonauting adventure. It starts off with them in this forest and they get to their coordinate location and it shows what looks like an abandoned campsite. You see a few plastic chairs, a half-buried shovel on the ground. The duo then decided that they had seen enough and got the hell out of there, and as they were leaving they came upon this giant bone. I'm sorry, what? A bone? Near a shovel and abandoned camp? Does that sound like something out of CSI Miami? Absolutely. Now I don't know whether an animal or person was killed there, but oh hell no. Nah. I'm not doing that. Now at number 2 are the men. This one comes from TikToker, it's Adrian C, and I don't know what he said his intention to, but let's continue. While following the coordinates, the app took the duo to some shady, forgotten beach 10 minutes behind this hill. There they found a Polaroid of someone's dog, and then Adrian's phone starts glitching out, almost like it was a glitch in the simulation. Something seemed to be interfering with his signal, and it only happened when he got to the coordinates. Then out of nowhere, 3 men in masks can be seen coming towards them on some speedboat thing, and they're getting closer and closer, and the user starts getting worried about whether these men have guns or not. I don't know what his intention was, but clearly it wasn't anything positive if they're worried about being gunned down. Get the hell out of there.
Hello?
Hello?
And finally, at number 1 is the cemetery. This one is utterly creepy and was shared by YouTuber Noah DB5, who wanted to find haunted spots around his university campus. The app then took him to a cemetery, but as he's approaching it, you can hear this shrill screaming that you just can't get out of your mind. Like if I heard that in real life, it would just etch itself into my brain. It's the kind of scream where you just know someone is inflicting pain on this person. After exploring the cemetery for a bit, he goes to a different coordinate a while later and hears the same screaming again. The screaming is coming from inside the woods, and then it kind of morphs into this animal-like sound. I don't know what he tried to find, but I hope he's glad he found it. I, on the other hand, do not have time for screaming banshees.
Oh god, there's more screaming as we're approaching the graveyard.